Hello, guys. Thank you for joining. My name is Nima Shams. I'm the VP and General Manager at DigiLens, and I'm honored to also be talking with my friend and partner at Taqtile, Kelly Malone. We have a lot to cover about, so we're going to go through this really fast. First of all, a quick background about DigiLens. DigiLens has a very vertically integrated company, right? We, at our core, are some of the leaders in waveguide technology. We make a transparent, photorealistic waveguide that is sunlight readable. And what's really important about this waveguide is it's the only waveguide we know to be able to hit a consumer price point, because we use a very unique printing process in our waveguide. Our strategy is to create the foundational basis to mass produce waveguide. So we've created global partners with companies such as Crystal Optic, Young Optic, and our latest partner, Canes in India, to produce those waveguides for different market verticals. What we realized about 2 years ago is we have this amazing waveguide, but the projection technology doesn't exist. So we created our own projection technology. This is an LCOS LED projector. It produces sunlight, readable optics when coupled with our waveguides, and is integrated into our own solution. And the third area that we specialize in is vertical integration. Under DigiLens's roof, we have electromechanical capabilities that can take this fundamental optical technology and integrate it into a package. 4 years ago, we realized there's a gap in the market. We realized that the productivity plateau was hit by the worker, and they needed something that enhanced them in the work field. We quickly talked about that there's two sides of the spectrum. You have the heavy industrial tools, and you have the visualization devices for inside a lab, but there was a lack in the middle. There was something that the worker in the field, the majority of the enterprise workers, were missing. And we talked about that we're taking our core optical technology and our know-how in building products and developing something new. In 2023, we talked about our vertical integration investment. We talked about that there is the spectrum of compute. This was right before the Apple Vision Pro came, where you have the desktop computer of the future, and you have, I'm going to age myself a little bit here, the pager or smartwatch of the future, but there was something lacking in the middle, which was the equivalent of the mobile phone of the future. And we were investing in that category. And we announced the Argo. So this was last year at AWE. Just to recap, the Argo is an industrial all-in-one headset. It's powered by the Snapdragon XR2. It has no other cables. It is IP rated, it's mil-spec rated, it's binocular, and it exists. And we've been working very closely with our partners to bring this into fruition. And I am proud to announce that we are entering mass production. So please watch this video. You guys can't hear the audio, buddy. Awesome, guys. Thank you. We understand that hardware is amazing and it's the enabler, but it's the ecosystem around the hardware that's essential. And so we've invested to adopt the world standards and incorporate that into the Argo platform. So we're open source Android, and we're going to soon support Android XR. We are MRTK 2.8 and 3.0 compatible. We work with OpenXR, Unity Foundation, Unreal Foundation, even WebXR, and incorporated all of the cool Snapdragon Spaces tech inside. We've also enhanced that capability with integrated hand tracking now. So at our booth at AWE, you can see full integrated hand tracking Please also note the really cool shoes. We also incorporate spatial capture, and the device is perceives where it is and is able to anchor itself in the environment it is, because at real time it's creating SLAM in the location, anchoring. These are actual polygons that were captured with the device within seconds while running. And the biggest announcement that we just talked about last week is the DigiLens ARGO is the world's first AI AR glasses. And we have partnered with one of the best solutions out there, Google's Gemini. So Google Gemini will be fully integrated into the Argo stack. It will be part of the core essential foundation of its capability. A lot of people talk about AI. A lot of people say it's very powerful, but it's not very clear how they're using it. So I want to be very, very clear. One, it's a natural user interaction modality, right? The challenge of a wearable device is you don't have a touch screen. You usually don't want a keyboard or mouse because your hands needs to be free. With Google Gemini embedded into our device, you have a conversation with it. You interact with it like you would an assistant at all times. It is part of the ecosystem that the Argo platform brings. Second, it's spatial perception and awareness. The system knows what you're doing. The system knows when to interact with you. The system knows what information to give you at the right time. And more importantly, what information not to give you that could potentially distract you or be a problem at the time you're doing the task, right? We walked into the arena, we walked into the floor, and we said, where are we? It knew we were in Longwood Beach. It knew we were at AWE 2024. It knew we were at the DigiLens booth, right? And that's the power of AI. This reminds me back at a commercial, late 1990s, early 2000, where they talked about the internet's going to bring any book or any song or any movie at all times. And I remember being much younger and saying, how's that possible? Now with AI, you could bring any information at any time to the right user, right? This is going to revolutionize how we do work, how we interact with it. And with augmented reality, this isn't just a voice. This is perception and reality fused with your digital information. It's going to revolutionize work. And over the last year, since we announced Argo, we have, through the Visualize program, developed an industrial-wide solution of partners that are taking the Argo and using it as tools for their specific market verticals. And this has enabled us to get essential feedback as we design Argo for that enterprise market. And so I'm going to walk through an example of the Argo platform and how all of this ecosystem of partners creates a solution that enables the worker to do their job well. So at the core of the system is the headset itself. Again, industrial grade, photorealistic imagery, no cables, nothing, everything's built in. Let's say you want to visualize a really high poly count. Just to give you an example, the previous headset device could do about 100,000 polygons. The Argo itself can visualize up to millions of polygons on that amazing XR2 Snapdragon. But a lot of our content requires tens of millions of polygons. So imagine we have something that's 36.8 million polygons, full detailed digital twin of the task you need at hand. To really render that, you need to use an ecosystem of solutions. So we start in the cloud. We start on the chipset. The Snapdragon XR2 has an amazing HVX DSP built in. It has amazing ISP and GPU to render that capability. On top of it, as we described, the Gemini allows you to naturally control the system. But where's that rendering occurring? And we will soon announce our partnership with NVIDIA and Omniverse. And so imagine that rendering's occurring in the cloud on the amazing GPUs by NVIDIA. How do you take that polygon, stream it with low latency, and bring it down to the system? One of our partners and solution providers in that area is a company named HoloLight. HoloLight has been able to stream at full frame rate, high polygon, but low latency directly onto the Argo platform. And we were able to bring a very large model, 36.8 million polygons, directly into the system. And then the last mile is the ability to spatially visualize and work on that. And that's where we'd love to introduce Taqtile and their ability to bring spatial work instructions right to the user and allow them to interact with their solution. So with that, I have the pleasure of bringing Kelly and have him talk about the Taqtile solution.
Thanks, Nima. Thank you. Before I get off this slide, I just want to mention that this last week, we did issue 2 press releases, one about Manifest availability on the Argo, and the other one was our joint workings with HoloLight. So that was a good setup slide, Nima, that you didn't even plan. We're really excited about this platform. This represents exactly what our customers have been looking for. And so I just want to talk a little bit about who our customers are and why this is important. And so our mission at Taqtile is to empower the doers. And we're really out looking at all of those folks who are deskless workers, the folks that work with their hands. These are folks that work in defense, they work in aerospace and transportation, they work in agriculture. And they're the folks that are operating and maintaining equipment and machinery and infrastructure. And these folks have not had adequate productivity tools that folks like me that sit behind a desk have had for years. And so our mission is actually to bring that productivity to that workforce and use tools like wireless connectivity, streaming, augmented reality, and of course, in order to do that, we really need to convey it through a form factor that folks are willing to use and are able to use, and that's easy to use in environments that, you know, they need to be able to drop things, they need to be able to deal with inclement weather and things of that nature. And so this audience, you know, they're tough on stuff, and that's who our folks are. With our platform, we also focused originally on the operations of work. So our tool is used plenty in training, but at the end of the day, where this really seems to help in knowledge transfer and activity is in the actual doing of the work as well, and minimizing how much time people need to spend in a classroom or in a training environment and get them out working in the field and on the equipment as soon as possible. And that's where, you know, where all of these industries that we're supporting, they're experiencing a skills gap. So their experienced workers are retiring, their incoming workforce is not coming in at the same rate as the exiting workforce is leaving. That knowledge loss is happening as those experienced workers leave, and the incoming workforce, they don't learn the same way as the outgoing workforce learned. So a lot of these folks are using YouTube to learn things. I imagine most of us in this room use YouTube. They aren't used to sitting down and reading a paper manual. You know, so that's another aspect of this that's really important, is to think about those users, how they learn. So how do we capture the information from those outgoing workers, and how do we put that in a digestible format and in a form and function that those incoming workers can pick up and utilize and minimize that time in the classroom and optimize that time out in the field and on that equipment in a way that's safe for them as well as safe for that equipment, so that they can perform that work error-free. So that capturing of knowledge, that's something that our platform does, and we need really good spatial tools and spatial understanding to do that. We also need to kind of be able to digitize that legacy information, that paper-based information, or you know, a lot of our customers these days are actually using PDFs, which is really just a digital view of a paper document. And so we need to turn that into enhanced data with spatial information, multimedia information like video and photos, And this then helps for the rapid acceleration of onboarding and training and that knowledge transfer that happens. And then, of course, that makes the whole industrial system be more productive and allows folks to accomplish more effectively with the fewer resources that, are existing now with this limited influx of workers compared to who's going out. It's also important to mention that the systems that folks are working on are getting more complex. So that's the other thing that's happening. So these outgoing workers, there's new automated systems that they're not even familiar with. And so these platforms are not only used to train these incoming workers, but they're helpful in upskilling and cross-skilling even experienced workers. And then, of course, the need to meet increasing regulatory and compliance requirements, especially for those those bigger industrial processes. You think about things like pharmaceutical manufacturing, or you think about nuclear power plants, or the defense industry. There's a lot of regulation and compliance required there. So I'm going to play a video from one of our customers who has been trialing Manifest with the Argo, and so I'll just give you a chance to see this in action.
Wheel chocks in position. All right, for correct extension. So I'm going to look here. For correct extension, okay? While I would here, I'd be wiping that off as well at the same time.
So that example there, thanks. That example there shows, in this case, he's a maintenance instructor for M1 Support Services, and he was doing a pre-flight check on a T-38, which is what the Air Force uses to train pilots. And so you could see that he had spatial indicators pointing to where to check on the aircraft. There was video aids and photo aids to help him along. And all of the text that was available in there came directly from his work card. And at any time, he could actually pull up the official work card and have it floating in space. But you could see that even with a tablet, that would have been difficult. I mean, he's using both of his hands to stabilize himself while he's checking something. And so having a hands-free spatial device is precisely what these folks need, especially when they're on a flight line. And in that particular case, a lot of the entry-level maintainers are the first ones that come in and do the flight line checks and things like that. And so there is a higher propensity to skip steps and make mistakes, and so having a tool like Manifest combined with Argo enables us to eliminate those mistakes and enables those workers to learn to do the job proficiently a lot faster. So this is my last slide. Just our platform at Taqtile is called Manifest. And just some of the key points about it, it's very easy to use, both in the knowledge capture side of things as well as in the distribution and execution of data. So it's very quick to implement. It's a no-code solution. It does support multiple form factors, so you can view these work instructions on a PC, you can view them on a tablet, and of course you can view them on an Argo. We also have to deal with the fact that a lot of our customers don't always have connectivity. They might be in hybrid environments, and so our system is containerized such that it can operate in the cloud, it can operate on-premise or at the edge, and is even available in offline mode. And again, this is great. You look at the capabilities of the Argo, and our clients can take content offline that's fully spatially enabled, full multimedia, and they can follow step-by-step instructions. They can add evidence, so if there's a missing part, they can take a picture or a video, and then that data gets stored on the device until that device is in connectivity, and then it can synchronize back to the server. It's a very scalable solution So it can work for small, medium-sized companies all the way up to very large organizations. We're working with the Army, for example, and the Air Force on some programs. And then we also have the ability to integrate with other systems of record. We also have an integration with IoT, or we call it meters in our system, so we can display sensor information, and we have built-in remote assistance into the platform. So even if the work instructions don't get you the help you need, you can dial the expert, they can see what you see, and interact with your environment. So with that, I think we'll open it up to some questions.
Yeah, just summarize. Manifest is an amazing tool.
Thanks.
It has really empowered the capability of Argo at the front line. The key takeaway is with a device like Argo running Manifest, the worker's hands-free, the worker's body position independent, and the worker can focus at the task at hand. There are a lot of devices coming out, and these devices have certain strengths and weaknesses. But for a worker that's in an environment that potentially can be hazardous, that could be dangerous, the device has to always be persistent. And if for any reason the device fails, you need to be baselined in your reality, right? And so with the DigiLens ARGO, powered with Google Gemini, running Manifest on top of it, we are enabling the next generation of worker to do their job both better and safer. So with that, we would love to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, Sarah's here from XCOM Labs. I'm just wondering, in the airport hangar scenarios, so it's usually that's a pretty sparse environment, but what's the most dense environment, in terms of multi-user concurrency? What type of, network infrastructure you might have to rely on? What's the sort of that most condensed use cases you've encountered? Thanks.
Yeah, we can't go into details with customers, but if you look at our investors, you'll see we have some automotive companies. And the dense environments in the automotive area is a lot of IoT robotics that are seeking information at all time. So we have done work with IoT devices and multi-IoT devices showing information into the Argo headset simultaneously. We are working with our partners to do collaborative with our integrated hand gestures. One of the demos we have at our booth is multiple people can wear the headset and draw and annotate in different locations, and others can view that interactability. And as we grow that ecosystem and partnership, that multi-interactability is going to be very essential. So we are working currently with a lot of IoT devices to one headset, and we are beginning to work with user interactability. And then we're talking about some partnerships. One of the things we signed yesterday, my peer Brian Hamilton did, was Y12 and the Department of Energy and their visualization of nuclear reaction or training that was signed yesterday. And so they are looking at similar type of use cases.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, for our Manifest platform, we're operating in manufacturing environments, again, with IoT data going over the system, multiple people utilizing the system at the same time, collaborating. I don't have a specific count, but we do work in dense environments as well as in, disparate environments as well.
Got time for a couple more questions.
Hi, what's your tracking and anchoring solution in Argo? So we're using spatial markers, or what software are you using to do that?
Yeah, great question. So at the fundamental, we created Argo to not use anything emissive, right? Because some of our customers, you could guess who, are very sensitive to IR light being emitted. So we're following the Tesla model of using visual cameras. And so we have two spatial fisheye cameras which can capture the world and do visual odometry. So on top of that fundamental tool, we open those camera APIs to our developers build different anchoring. We're working very closely with Qualcomm and Qualcomm Spaces, and as they talked about, integrating into Android XR. So that's one path. We have tools for OpenGL. People have written their own anchoring software on top of OpenGL as well.
Yeah, and we're using Snapdragon Spaces platform with MRTK3 on top.
That's right.
All right, time for one more question.
Yeah, thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Any insights on product pricing and the major metrics with your solution?
You made that guy right there, Brian Hamilton, smile. So we're not disclosing pricing right now, but please come to us because each market has a different solution, and we want to give you the right bundling and solution. As we go into mass production, please go and talk to Brian Hamilton at our booth, and we could talk about the right solution in the market vertical, and then enable you to be able to solve your challenges with our solution. But it is
Awesome.
available right now, so
Thank you very much. Please give him a hand.
thank you guys.